Lauren, you would be the oldest president ever inaugurated. I'd like you to weigh in as well.
I'd also be the youngest woman ever inaugurated.
What we need is a trade policy that stands up for workers, stands up for farmers, and by the way, the word climate change, to the best of my knowledge, is not discussed in this new NAFTA agreement at all, which is an outrage. So no, I will not be voting for this agreement, although it makes some modest improvements.
It's both an honor and disappointment to be the lone candidate of color on the stage tonight. The question is, why am I the lone candidate of color on this stage? Fewer than 5% of Americans donate to political campaigns. You know what you need to donate to political campaigns? Disposable income. The way we fix it.
The idea that you're going to be able to save that person making $60,000 a year on Medicare for all is absolutely preposterous.
And I have not denigrated your experience as a local official. I have been one. You know, I just think you should respect our experience when you look at how you evaluate someone who can get things done.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. We're a little tired today, but we still have an amazing show.
No pain. We feel great. Thanks for those of you who hung out with us last night. We had a terrific time. We've got some great new content for you this morning. First of all, we've got all the Wine Cave content that you crave, including comments from Senator Nina Turner, of course, Bernie Sanders' national campaign co-chair, and I love this one, California Governor Gavin Newsom, who is actually a Wine Cave owner.
That's right.
Who's pushing back against all this Wine Cave hate.
Wine Cave enthusiast himself. If anybody looked like one, it would be Gavin Newsom.
So Gavin Newsom. So we've got all that. We've got a live report from the ground. So lots coming up in the show. But there was an interesting part of the debate that we didn't get to talk about too much last night, but I thought was really significant and also touches a kind of core theme of our show, which was there was a lot of focus from these moderators who I overall thought were better and asked more substantive questions.
Not the best, but better.
But better. I mean, there was room for improvement. But there was also a lot of focus on just strict identity, not on how it connects to economic issues or climate issues, et cetera. Just let's talk about you being a woman. Let's talk about you being an old man. Let's talk about all of those things. So what was interesting is I thought, number one, that maybe the most effective moments for Bernie Sanders last night was him talking about those issues through the lens of the issues that people actually care about, because you can't separate out who you are from the life that you're leading. So in particular, the moderator tried to slam him for connecting climate justice to racial justice, and I thought he threaded that needle very effectively last night and made the case that rather than looking at everybody as these separate demographic interest groups, that we need to support everyone. We need to help everyone. We need to remember that we're all in this together, and we all have economic needs and dignity needs, et cetera.
And you know who said that really well? It was Zed Jelani, and this is the core theme, I think. I mean, the uniting thing of our politics, which is that, look, the only way to live in a cross-racial, multi-ethnic, multi-religious, multiracial democracy is to have some sort of connective tissue. And right now, what that connective tissue is that there is a working class, multiracial working class, which is struggling against a multiracial cosmopolitan elite. And by and large, the cosmopolitan elite is pushing interests and controls the organs of culture and economy and education to their benefit and not to the others. And that, bridging that gap is what our politics should be all about, instead of, oh, you're the only woman, oh, you're an old white man, oh, you're the only person of color on the stage.
Right.
I think Zed said this really, really well whenever he's talking about universality and how important that is. Let's take a listen.
Every single person in America, which is a radical thing in today's Democratic Party, which I think is going through this Lebanon-style process where we're all these different segments and interest groups, when really there's so much in common there. But it requires having a unified backing to be able to fight for things like universal health care, education, child care, decent teacher wages, ending wars, and defeating climate change and having humane immigration reform. You can only do those things by convincing people they have united interests, united values, and that they don't have to hate each other and fight each other over black, white, woman, gay, straight, man, woman.
Really well said.
Yeah, very well said.
Yeah.
And it also struck me last night. This is one of the core things that I think we've both responded to from Andrew Yang, is that he also, as one of his core themes, has this idea of universality. Everyone is worthy of dignity.
Right.
Everyone is worthy of a good life. And so that's why universal basic income goes literally to everyone. On the other side of the equation, it's ironic because you've got a guy like Pete Buttigieg who talks all about this about bringing us together, et cetera. But then his means-tested programs, which would ultimately pit people against each other, are the exact opposite of what you would do if you actually want to bring people together.
And that is a natural extension of his entire candidacy, which is identity-based. I mean, you saw that whenever Amy Klobuchar, and we're going to get into this a little bit later, but whenever Amy Klobuchar challenged him on his experience, he says, try being a white gay dude in South Bend, Indiana, in Mike Pence's Indiana, right? And it's like, well, what does your biography have to do with your number of votes and your ability to win, tens of thousands of votes in a statewide Trump country race, as she so rightfully pointed out, which is all of it is stemming from his identity, where instead of A, anything that he's done, or B, what he's really trying to do. And I think that is the ultimate problem with Buttigieg's candidacy.
Right. Yeah. And it's a hard thing in this day in a Democratic primary with moderators, two of whom were women of color, to be able to push back on that in a way that doesn't come off as tone deaf or insensitive. And I thought that Bernie Sanders parried that very well, basically responding to the Obama comments about women are better and these old guys need to get out of the way. I thought he did that really well, turning into, no, the problem isn't the identity of who holds the presidency, Barack Obama obviously being a case in point. The problem is the policies. The problem is that we have a country that's run by oligarchs. That's the issue here. And I think a lot of people connect with that. Andrew Yang, same thing. It's really unfair that as the one person of color on the stage that he gets this question of carry the mantle for all people of color. But
so
again,
insulting.
he does such a good job. He's so respectful to all the other candidates. Look, I don't love Cory Booker. I don't love Kamala Harris. But that's part of his thing, is he's very respectful to them. But then he was able to turn it into his core message, again, about the worth and dignity of every human being. So to me, watching how they played that and were able to effectively sort of make the counter argument was pretty cool to watch.
You know what was fun is Zed said this also last night, which is that Obama said that comment about women at probably to a bunch of rich women at a forum in Singapore. And this just completely epitomizes lean in Sheryl Sandberg style feminism, which is go and be you can lean in and be the Fortune 500 CEO or the CIA director if you want. And it's we're not talking about the morality of what you actually do, about trying to create a good and equitable economic system. Instead, it's all just badass women up at the top. It's it's so hollow the way that Obama leans in and panders to this type of rhetoric.
Yeah, having a woman or a woman of color who is pulling the levers of power and oligarchy, to me, look, I guess it's some kind of progress, but it's a pretty shallow version of progress.
It's
in my view.
Female hedge fund manager.
Great, Slay Queen. All right, we're going to tell you what's on our radars. That's next.